So what's the right way for a woman to cleanse her lady parts to ensure cleanliness, to reduce odor and prevent infection? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you my top 5 tips for feminine hygiene. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Healthy Core, Pelvic Floor, and More. I am Dr. Kelly, and one of the most fascinating things that I've learned as a pelvic health therapist is the variety of ways that women cleanse their bodies. So some of the things that I hear is that they douche because their moms douched and their moms told them to douche. I also hear women say that they wash their bodies with their favorite scented soap and also wash the vagina with that scented soap. Some women say that they spread the labia, get a rag, and scrub inside the vagina with that rag. I've even heard from others that they take the shower head and turn it on blast just to make sure that they get a good washing up there. Now, none of these things are necessary for the vagina because it's a self-cleaning oven. And so these things can be very harsh and irritating to the very delicate vulvar tissue. So we want to do what we can to minimize that irritation. So in the case of the vagina, less is more. So let's get to the tips. Tip number 1, skip the douching at all costs. The vagina is a self-cleaning mechanism. And so when we add douches or soaps into that area, we run the risk of washing away the healthy bacteria, which is called lactobacilli. Now that lactobacilli bacteria has a lot of important functions, including keeping those bad bacteria in check. Lactobacilli is also responsible for keeping the pH of the vagina acidic, thereby minimizing the likelihood of developing an infection. Tip number 2, be gentle. The vagina does not need to be scrubbed. It's not dirty. And the reason why we want to be gentle with that area, I want you to think of it like the tissue that is, or the skin around the eyes, or even the tissue inside of our mouths. When we are constantly putting a lot of abrasive friction to that area, that can strip away a layer of the tissue, which can lead to inflammation. And over time, that repeated scrubbing of the tissue can cause you to become sensitive to things that you are normally not sensitive, such as tight clothing, detergents, and even the toilet paper that you use. So my recommendation is when you are taking a shower, soap your body, wash your hair, and then when you go to rinse off, allow that water to wash the soap down your body and onto the outer labia, also known as the lips. Then you want to take clean hands and separate the labia and allow warm water. You don't want it to be scalding hot, but warm water, lukewarm water, to run along the inner folds. And you want to just gently move the tissue around. And that's it. You don't need a loofah, you don't need a sponge, and you don't need a washcloth in that area. Once you're done showering, you want to pat dry, and that's it. Remember, keep it simple because the vagina and the vulvar tissue is very sensitive, delicate tissue, and less is more. Tip number 3, go unscented. In this case, I'm referring to soaps, pads, tampons, lubricants, condoms, you name it. The less fragrance and chemicals that are in those things, the less likely you are to irritate the vulvar-vaginal tissue. Tip number 4, loosen up. Remember, the vagina needs to breathe. So if we're wearing tight, restrictive clothing all of the time, it doesn't get the air circulating back and forth. So it's a good idea to occasionally wear looser clothing or even go without underwear, especially at night when you don't have to worry about being exposed. Tip number 5, if you're starting to notice that there is some sensitivity in your lady parts, one of the things that I recommend is to switch your underwear from maybe the fancy satin lace underwear to just plain white cotton underwear, so as to minimize anything that will irritate that tissue. So I'm going to give you a bonus tip, and this one is all about discharge. And the one thing I want to say about discharge is that it is completely normal. It is healthy. It's our body's way of cleansing itself. And so The idea is not to scrub and deodorize and do whatever you can to eliminate it at all costs, because it's gonna happen. And so you wanna just make note of it, that it's gonna change throughout the month, depending on what part of the cycle you're in. However, if it starts to change color or it starts to smell a little funky, then you may wanna go see a doctor to get this checked out. So that's my last tip. I hope you learned from this video, and if you have any comments, questions, please put them in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, be you, be true, be beautiful.